So I think Conclave and Saturday Night had one of the better trailers for 2024. I missed Saturday Night, but I watched Conclave. Does the trailer hold up with the film? Let's find out. Chase Lehocky here at the Blue Futon reviewing Conclave. So what's this about? Pretty simple premise. The Pope has died, and now the Conclave is in session to find a new Pope. And now the person in charge of the Conclave, does he want Stanley Tucci in? Does he want John Lithgow? Does he want this Italian in? Does he want this guy from Africa in to be the new Pope? Or a random guy that's in Kabul that a lot of people don't know about? So, did I like this film? I don't know still. So this is one where I watched it and I thought about it even during another movie I was watching. I was like, that ending, I don't know what I feel about it. And the more I think about it, I think the more I'm not the biggest fan of this film. Will it receive Oscar nominations galore? Absolutely. But I could put $1,000 right now. This is not going to win the Best Picture because of the ending. And yes, maybe this book was very faithful to, or this script was very faithful to the book that came out in 2016. But when doing research about the author, it just felt like a liberal wet dream at the very end. Because if you're making a Catholic movie about the church and the Pope, yet you're not a Catholic and you really don't know a lot about the church, there are things in this movie where it's like, yes, I felt like there might have been people that with the production crew that did more research than the author, but it was, I want to say it's a slap in the face, but it was just like, come on now, really? So we'll talk about this movie. I can see the main guy, Ralph, Fiennes, I always say his name wrong, winning Best Actor. I can completely see it. I know a lot of people think you're Domingo Koman for Sing Sing, but Sing Sing is dropping. Sing Sing is gone. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. So I could see him winning that. Costumes, they're fantastic. However, they're not as original as other movies per se. So I don't see it really getting a win. Score, solid freaking score. If it wins, I could see it winning. Cinematography, fan-freaking-tastic. Production design, fan-freaking-tastic. You can see where I'm going to Stanley Tucci. Could get the Oscar nom as well. I mean, even though it was a great performance, but if he gets snubbed, that's fine. Director, I don't know anymore, honestly. It's very well, like I said, the sound design, the score. It's well-directed film, but does it need to happen? I don't know. So as you can tell, I love the technical aspects. As you can tell, I kind of left out the writing. And I could probably see it getting nominated for the writing, but it's not going to win in my opinion. Maybe because the source material, the very end, just bugged the living crap out of me. People are also saying it's not going to win because it's PG. I think it's very fascinating thing that people are talking about. That when was the last time a PG movie won Best Picture? That's a question I can't answer because I don't know. And it's got to be in the 80s, right? Driving Miss Daisy, maybe? It was probably the last PG movie to win, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be completely wrong. So it probably has that, behind its back. So, like I said, technically, awesome. Acted, awesome. So, I'm not going to say I'm going to spoiler territories, but I'm just going to, I get to say spoilers. So, right, we're going to go into spoilers in about 3 and a 2 and a 1. All right, so when you see me do this again, if you want to, fast forward, just that's when I know when we're going to be done. Okay, so who the new Pope is going to be, once some of these characters are finally introduced, it is so you know who the next Pope is going to be. I'm sorry, it's very simple. You just know what it is going to be. If you watch plenty of movies, I'd say you're like, it's not going to be the white guys, so that takes 3 of them out, right? And you know it's not going to be one person because of what something occurs. So even if you take that out of the race, you know for a fact it is going to be this one character for the secrecy purpose of it. It makes perfect sense. But the very, very end of this movie, it did feel like a liberal wet dream. Because also throughout this whole thing, you have these two quote-unquote popes that are more liberal-esque of like, gay marriage and things like that into the Catholic Church, which, say what you want. To me, that doesn't bother me, but there's just other things that were said about it. It's like, okay. And I do think there needs to be more strictness into the church because there's very solid dialogue about, man wanting power. Is man reading the Bible and taking things out of the Bible that's not really in the Bible, but portraying it as how they want to see it? What I mean by that is like cremation. There's nothing in the movie or in the Bible about cremation. But now a lot of the Catholic Church like, you cannot cremate a body. How dare you? How dare you? Or they're like, well, if you cremate it, or some priests will be like, well, it's fine, but you have to keep the body together if you want to put it that way. I just think about what happened back in the day of like, being in the desert and you can't really bury. So there was a lot of cremations in the first place. So who made that rule? Also, who made the rule about suicide, right? About, if you go to suicide, you're straight to hell. It's like things like that where it does bother me. And there are some fascinating dialogue with this movie that talks about it. But anyway, we're talking about the very end, right? And it's just bothers me because I don't know. It just bothered me just like how they decided to do it is they keep it secret, right? The whole point of I think that's what bothers me the most, right? Is they want to keep it the whole his secret about having this surgery was secret throughout this whole experience. About even though why would you send this guy that needs that surgery to Kabul and things like that? Which in reality that ain't going to happen because when I was in France, I talked to a lot of sisters, and I know a sister with ovarian cancer, and they refused to have her go to Australia because of that disease or because of that cancer, right? And so if this person had that issue, you're not going to send this person to that part of the world. And if someone figures it out in that part of the world, it ain't going to go pretty. So you have things like that where you're just like, okay. And I have issues with the author as well because of what he did in 2016, how he's not from the Catholic Church, things like that. But there are like such interesting things where it's like you have people in the movie that go like this, right? Really quick. You really don't go it quick. If you're in the church, it's like in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. It's actually a slow process. And if you notice in a lot of these movies, it go pretty quick. Also, you might see the which is interesting because there is that one Spanish priest that does go slow, that goes all the way to the abdomen, and he goes slow, and I noticed that. But there are also a lot of people that go quick. So you're just like, some people got the message, or some people were part of the church, and some people weren't. And it's very fascinating where just some people knew what they were doing, and some people didn't know. So some consistencies would have been nice. But like I said, there is nothing wrong like this. There's also some things in some Catholic churches that do this, like, I hate to call it the Wolf on Wall Street, but growing up, we never did this, like, thing that you do this, like, pound your chest 3 times. So when I was in France, a lot of people were doing that. I just refused to do it because I just wasn't used to it. And there was a different, like, verbiage. I don't talk about weird stuff, but it does quote with this movie about, this is where I don't think the author, like I said, he knew nothing about the church, and I felt like he just wanted to add this to the ending to, like, stab the Catholic religion, like, oh, and I read something about, like, anti-LGBT and the Catholic, like, crimes in the LGBT, and you're just like, really? And I did meet a priest, actually, where his whole thing was, like, talking to people that were sexually abused by priests, and, this movie talks about it as well, and it's very fascinating that I'm getting all these different messages throughout when I was in France as well. But the end of this movie, like I said, it's a mixed bag because I don't know what it wants to be. If the church is supposed to be so secretive about this guy's issue, and he wants to keep it secretive, but he doesn't want the surgery because he said God made him this way. And I understand that. This is not like transgenderism where you're cutting your dick off, cutting your balls off, and things like that, or getting double mastectomy even though you don't have breast cancer. Like, that pisses me off. But, so I understand what they're trying to do, but at the same point, it's like, once this person is the Pope, are they going to make it public knowledge? Because there's nothing if, ands, or buts about it. And I'll say one thing, the nuns in this movie were very underutilized overall. And I think there were also just things that happened, like breaking the seal. I felt like there would have been more consequences. Overall, Conclave, I think it's still a watchable movie, like, until the last 10 minutes. It still makes me think if I really like the last 10 minutes or not. But technically, a damn good film. So Conclave will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futon, so he goes at 70%. So see the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics, 92% with 141 of them. Audience score, 81% with over 500. Critic consensus, carrying off Papal Pulp with immaculate execution and a career highlight work from Ralph Fiennes, even though I think he's better in The Menu. Conclave is a godsend for audience who crave intelligent entertainment. Sure. That was weird. Anyway, 81, 70, 92. Chase Luck here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of the things, Bluetontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Looking forward to stay tomorrow, week from now, month, or year from now, freaking one of you. Peace and love, peace and love. And you know what? That ending. That freaking ending.